Now that we've covered epithelial tissues, let's move to the next type that helps in connecting the various parts. So as the name suggests, the tissue is a connective tissue. However, in order to connect the different parts, this connective tissue needs to be glue or adhesive-like. But we know that tissues are made up of cells. So how do we really connect the dots? Well, it's simple. We know that tissues consist of cells. But to get the cells together, we need a ground substance for binding, right? Thus, in this case also, the connective tissue is made up of two major components: the cells and the matrix. Cells in the connective tissues are loosely embedded in the matrix, which can be jelly-like or fluidic or dense or even rigid in nature, depending upon the location and function of the connective tissue. Now, when we say connective tissue, the first one to strike our mind is bones. Bones, which function to provide a proper framework to our body, contain cells which are embedded in a hard matrix. The rigid nature of the matrix is due to the deposition of calcium and phosphorus, which makes the bone strong and non-flexible. So, apart from providing a framework, the major function of bones include anchoring the muscles and various organs within. Now, the entire skeleton of human body is definitely not composed of just one single bone, right? We know that there are around 206 bones in an adult human body. So, who joins these bones together? Well, another type of connective tissue called the ligament does the needful. Ligament tissue basically has a little matrix which makes it elastic and at the same time strong. On similar lines, have you ever thought that if bones are non-flexible, then how do we perform movements? Well, movement is brought about by the muscles, and the bones are able to move because they are connected to the muscle by tendons. So tendons are fibrous in nature, having strength but limited flexibility. Next in our list are bone-like tissues. Wait, what do we mean by bone-like? Well, these are nothing but the connecting tissue type, usually known as the cartilage. The nose tips, the ears we have, are also flexible. And even if you fold them for a very long period of time, these parts regain their original shape. Why is this so? Well, the answer is cartilage. Yes, cartilage has matrix which is not as rigid as that of the bones, and thus it has flexibility along with a proper shape. The matrix is made up of sugars and proteins having widely spaced cells. An extremely important function of cartilage is to smoothen the surfaces of bones at the joints. What would the locations of cartilage include? Yes, as we have just seen, the nose tip, ears, and it is also present in the respiratory tract, that is the trachea and the larynx. Now let's talk about the tissue that acts as filler in our body. It is the areolar tissue that fills up the space between the skin and the muscles in our body. Also, we find areolar tissues around the blood capillaries, nerves, and in the bone marrow. So what's so special about this areolar tissue? Well, if we zoom in further, we find four major components that fill up the jelly-like matrix. These include the fibroblasts, which secrete fibers, mast cells, which secrete histamine that acts as an allergic response stimulant, macrophages that eat up the invaders, and the adipocytes that store fat and are further useful in making the adipose tissues. Besides, the tissues get its strength and flexibility from the white and yellow fibers present in the matrix along with these cells. Now let's glance at the next type in continuation with the areolar tissue. Yes, continuation because, as we just saw, the areolar tissues has adipocytes that further make up the adipose tissues. Thus, the adipose tissue is the one that stores fat globules in it. Now, why do we need to store fat? Well, the location of adipose tissue may give us a hint. It is located below the layer of the skin. So what could be its role? Yes, it's meant for insulation. Hence, it helps in maintaining the temperature of the body within when there is an extreme temperature in the surroundings. Now let's move towards the last type of connective tissue, that is blood. Yes, blood is considered to be a tissue. You may wonder, what is the blood exactly connecting in the body? It doesn't even have a proper structure like the other connective tissues. Well, that's the unique feature of blood. It is known as the only fluid connective tissue in the body. If you take a drop of blood and observe under the microscope, you will find mainly 3 types of cells. The round ones called the RBCs or the erythrocytes, which help in transporting oxygen. Then we have these irregular large cells called WBCs or leukocytes, which are the fighter cells in our body. And what about these small ones, having no precise color and shape? Well, these are the platelets, which are the thrombocytes that play a major role in clotting the blood when we're injured. It prevents excessive bleeding. However, collectively we can say that the major function of blood is transportation of substances from one destination to the other in the body, and that is how it connects the various parts. Well, this was all about connective tissues in general. Now let's meet up in the next video where we will talk about the third type, that is the muscular tissues.